They probably eat around thousands of grams of carbs every day.
How many bodybuilders do you know are eating 6,000 calories a day? But yet they're saying thousands of carbs. And so already, minute and 25 into the video, it's nonsense, it's BS. Coach Greg, in today's video, I'm going to be going over the golden era diet, what Arnold Schwarzenegger used to eat. And so was the high protein, low carb diet they used to eat back in the day better than today? You've all seen the way bodybuilders eat today, many of which make absolutely no sense. We've seen Sam Sulek drinking back 4 liters of chocolate milk and eating more cereal than last time. Makes no sense. Mike Israel himself, he's drinking back Gatorades and having lots of cereal and milk. I mean, I don't know if these guys are 6-year-olds at heart or what, but the bodybuilding diets of today, they make no sense. Yet people will sit there and criticize my cookbook as if it's not the best diet you could ever follow. I mean, think of it. I've been training since I was 10, bodybuilding since I was a teenager, and I've competed in 59 competitions. No, but my diet doesn't make sense. You should be having cereal, Gatorade, blending up chicken breasts, eating all kinds of junk food, and that's what you need to do. I mean, bodybuilders of today, it seems like all they can't wait to do is have a cheat meal, to have 10,000 calorie challenges, to blend up their drinks because they can't get the food down, complaining that they're never hungry, that it's hard to get the food down, but they haven't even tried Hungrier Than Last Time from Coach Greg, of which you can get this for 15% off. But at the same time, they're abusing insulin and semi-glutides like Ozempic because they're too hungry. It makes no sense. Should you bulk? Should you cut? When we just discovered that even Fuad, after all these years, has decided that, yeah, Greg's main gaining, it actually makes sense. Did you see that video?
You should be at the body fat percentage that you perform at best, under 15%.
And so all of this time, we were thinking the exact same thing. And so let's watch this video and see what did they come up with. And let me just warn you, a little foreshadowing. I've watched the video and it's nonsense. Wait till you see what these guys have been eating.
Golden era was, and forever will be, the pinnacle of bodybuilding. That was when the sport combined aesthetics and mass without looking too much.
Well, I would argue that in today's day and age, classic physique combines aesthetics and mass all at the same time, and the physiques are arguably even better than they were in the golden era. Compare Arnold Schwarzenegger to Chris Bumstead. Many are going to say they liked Arnold better, but many also going to say they like Chris Bumstead better. And so, which is it? We're comparing apples and oranges, but whatever time culture that you like better, so be it. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to compare diets.
And that's especially because of the diet plans they had. So today, let's look back at the golden era. The era of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And so let me tell you, the different physiques has nothing to do with the diets. It has everything to do with the drugs. There were far fewer drugs back then being the 70s and 80s versus right now being 2024.
The diet involved low carbs, but high fats and high proteins. Right now, if you see bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman consume a whole lot of carbs.
All right, I'm a native speaking English person, although I'm also bilingual. I can speak French and a little bit of Spanish. I practice all 3. But he just says thousands.
They probably eat around thousands of grams of carbs every day.
Thousands indicates more than 1,000, plural, and so let's call it 2,000. Thousands of calories of carbs per day. Dias, every day. Par jour. And so par jour, dia, day, that's multiple thousands per day. But even if it's just 2,000, even if it's just 1, there's 4 calories in 1 gram of carb. In 1,000 grams of carbs, there's 4,000 calories. I don't know any bodybuilder that even consumes 1,000 grams of carbs average on every given day. 4,000 calories from just carbs. Let's say they weigh 250 pounds, perhaps a guy like Chris Bumstead. If they're having only 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that's going to be 1,000 calories from just protein. Add that to 4,000 calories of carbs, that's 5,000 calories. Plus fat, probably another 1,000, 6,000. How many bodybuilders do you know are eating 6,000 calories a day? But yet they're saying thousands of carbs, and so already, minute and 25 into the video, it's nonsense, it's BS. Yet it got over 3.2 million views. From a smaller channel, 220,000 followers, Hulk tube motivation. But I think what people mostly enjoy, it's the visuals. You're seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping weight. You're seeing Nick Walker. You're seeing all the greats. Sergio Oliva, Frank Zane, and they're going through the motions. And so the video itself is interesting, but to me, some of the information, it's less accurate than last time.
You'll notice that their diet didn't even include half as much carbs. You might have seen Arnold Schwarzenegger or others munch on oatmeal or potatoes here and there.
And so they were eating potatoes and oatmeal back in the day, and let me think, they're eating potatoes and oatmeal now. They're eating rice now, they're eating sweet potatoes now, yeah, they're eating carbs now. Back in the day, they were also eating this. And what were they eating back then? Lots of steak. You don't think bodybuilders today eat lots of steak? Chicken breasts? You don't think they were eating chicken breasts back then and the same right now?
They ate a lot of beef, especially beef patties.
Serge did have a few key foods he would eat. The diet consisted of an average of 4 kilos of red meat a day.
There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. 4 kilograms means eating 4,000 grams of red meat a day. There are 16 ounces in a pound. Let's do some quick math. That would mean he's eating 140 ounces of red meat a day. Let's say he's having a very large steak, 14-ounce steak. That's a lot of food. He would need to be eating that 10 times a day. Raise your hand if you think that this guy ate 140 ounces of red meat a day. On average, it's about 2 calories per gram of red meat. And so multiply 2 times 4,000, that's 8,000 calories. And so do you really think that Serge was consuming 8,000 calories from red meat alone on top of whatever else he was eating, of which would have perhaps 800 grams of protein? Do you really think he was eating 800 grams of protein along with all that fat and whatever carbs else he was eating? Or do you think this is a great exaggeration? He said 4 kilograms. Maybe he meant 4 pounds. And yeah, I know guys like Larry Wheels, they don't know the difference between pounds and kilograms. Many people use them interchangeably. There's 2 pounds per kilogram. There's 2.2046 if you round up. And so perhaps he was having 4 pounds of red meat a day. Even that is a lot, but at least that I would believe.
Pretty much all golden era bodybuilders ate a number of eggs throughout their day. It could be whole eggs, not even egg whites like nowadays.
Does he really think that bodybuilders of today never eat whole eggs? Many bodybuilders are eating whole eggs. Now, when it's time to contest prep, some bodybuilders eat fewer whole eggs, but most are still eating whole eggs. And so you're saying, yeah, back then they ate eggs. Today, they only eat egg whites. It's not true. Many bodybuilders today are still eating whole eggs. For example, Eddie Abu. Eddie Abu is over 60. He's a bodybuilder from way back when. He was eating whole eggs then, he's eating whole eggs now. Even Coach Greg, who preaches to eat lower fat diet overall if you're trying to stay lean year round, even I have the occasional whole eggs. And so here we see Franco Columbu cutting a hole in a whole egg and drinking it down and then eating the shell. Are we now the liver king? What are we doing right now? This is not how bodybuilders actually ate back then. Back then, they still primarily cooked their food. Sometimes they didn't have time and so on. Yeah, sure. Just make sure you wash the egg. You don't want to get salmonella poisoning, but most bodybuilders are actually eating cooked food.
Besides beef and eggs, bacon was pretty common too in the mornings.
And so back in the day, way back then, people commonly ate bacon. Everywhere I go when I travel, I see bacon being eaten all the time, bodybuilders and so on. And let me tell you this, bodybuilders, what they post on YouTube, Instagram, and so on, it's not what they're actually eating. Yeah, sure, they're eating it on 1 or 2 of their meals, but do you know how much shit most bodybuilders are eating that they don't tell you about? Why do you think that is? They want to seem like they're hard. Like David Goggins, they're trying to stay hard. And so they show you the chicken, broccoli, and rice, the tilapia. But they're not showing you the cheeseburgers. They're not showing you the fries, the candy bars, the chocolate, the ice cream. But they're mostly almost all eating this. They just don't want to look like they're soft. I don't want anyone to know that I eat a candy bar. Even The Rock was saying, oh, I haven't eaten a candy in 20 years, back before 2000. I never eat chocolate. Yeah, just like you've only eaten at that fast food restaurant for the first time for the 3rd time. Remember that, Rock?
But even more than that, one food item that was highly popular was cheese. A lot of their meals included different types of cheese, mainly cottage cheese.
Oh, and no one eats cottage cheese today. I mean, back then they would have cottage cheese. Now, they don't eat cottage cheese. I literally have several recipes, including cottage cheese, in my freaking cookbook.
Now, when you think of bodybuilding, you probably think that the staple of their diet is rice or sweet potatoes.
Yeah, bodybuilders now, one of the staples of their diet, rice and sweet potatoes, but it's also going to be meat. Bodybuilders today don't just eat a high-carb, low-protein diet. They eat a lot of everything. Primarily protein. Protein is king. Many bodybuilders, for example, even Fuad was saying he ate 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. That is a lot. Research shows you would never need more than 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And for the most part, most people, who are natties especially, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is more than sufficient. 0.8 being all that you really need.
It's not just sweet potatoes or vegetables with a high amount of carbs. They didn't consume a lot of vegetables.
And so way back in the day, the 70s and 80s, they didn't eat a lot of vegetables. Do you really think bodybuilders eat a lot of vegetables right now? You're thinking, yeah, it's chicken, broccoli, and rice. But for the most part, bodybuilders hardly eat any vegetables. Look at Mike Israetel. I was trying to see how much fruit and vegetables he's going to eat. He put a little bit of this slaw mixture, like basically lettuce, on 2 of his meals. A little bit. That was it. No fruit, hardly any vegetables. What do I think about this? I think bodybuilders should be eating fruit and vegetables. But no, my diet is healthy.
But at the end of the day, meats of animals were the primary source of nutrition for them. Chicken, turkey, and tuna were a big part too, though. But mostly, it was beef.
And so how is this different? Meat's a big part of bodybuilding diets back then. It's a big part of bodybuilding diets now. Perhaps the only difference is now people add in more protein powders. In the 70s and 80s, there certainly wasn't a lot of whey protein and so on. People weren't having their whey and casein shakes. They weren't having protein ice cream over the head. And so that is a huge change. Bodybuilders now, they get much more variety. It's way easier. Why? Because we have more options. We know better. Back then, they were guessing, the experimenting. They didn't know that this protein was better than that. They didn't know about this. They didn't know about that. Now you have it made. And so now you can easily purchase my cookbook, my Circle diet book, how to lose weight, keep it off for the rest of your life. We literally have it easy. But not everyone gets the cookbook. Some people are being duped into fad diets. They don't realize that a diet like the Circle diet, it's the forever diet, the diet you can stay on for the rest of your life. Code Greg, 15% off.
However, fish wasn't a big part of their diet either. You probably wouldn't have seen them eat salmon or sushi.
And so here's one difference that's actually a difference. They ate less fish back in bodybuilding diets back then versus right now. The reason being is that right now we understand that healthy fats such as omega-3 fatty acids are an important part of your diet. Back in the 70s, they didn't know this. They didn't have the same research we have today. And so if you want to make an important change versus dieting in the 70s, you'll have more healthy fats in your diet. For example, you can eat more salmon, halibut, avocado, and so on.
Maybe 1 piece of food a day, like a starvation diet.
And so they're saying back in the day they didn't eat any vegetables, but yet I'm seeing a massive salad being eaten by none other than Lou Ferrigno. And so did they really eat no vegetables? Certainly looking like that's a big serving of lettuce to me.
And also doing cardio and able to give me a chance to gain 10 to 15 pounds more.
And whoa, freeze frame, was that not an orange? I'm pretty sure I saw him eating an orange.
In the golden era, protein shakes weren't very popular, simply because there were few choices. They were really expensive and tasted pretty bad.
And so clearly today we have huge advantages. For example, this from HDLT Supplements is a casein whey blend. It mixes up thicker than last time. It's excellent for baking. And so if you're making protein muffins, protein cakes, protein loaves, and so on, this an excellent choice. I strongly recommend it. Code Greg, 15% off.
It was called Protein from the Sea. It had a texture exactly like beach sand, and it tasted like dead fish scales.
And so listen, it's calories in, calories out. No matter how you look at it, it's still calories in, calories out. And even if you don't eat optimal amounts of protein, I get this question all the time. What's the minimum amount of protein I need? Even if you're only eating 0.5 gram of protein per pound of body weight, you're still probably going to build an impressive physique. It's all about the calories. If you're eating in a surplus, you're going to eventually get fat. If you're eating in a deficit, you're eventually going to get shredded. And so if you're eating at maintenance, you're going to stay roughly the same. And so if you want to look lean, you have to go on a diet. You need to reduce your calories. If you want to bulk up and get fat, you need to eat more calories. And so those of you trying to be powerlifters, sumo wrestlers, and so on, you need to eat a lot of food. Those of you that are trying to stay lean, you have to eat less food.
They trained in the mornings and also in the evenings. And these weren't too light trainings in the day. Both the training sessions were hard and intense.
And so back in the day, you probably already knew this, they were doing 2-a-day trainings. They were training harder than last time. Lots of volume, crazy intensity. That was burning up a lot of calories. And so they never needed to do a lot of cardio. Today's bodybuilders oftentimes are doing an hour plus of cardio every single day. And why? Well, to burn off more calories. They're training less. They're doing less volume. They're mostly training once a day, not even 7 days a week. And so they make up for this calorie burn by doing cardio. Both are effective. Do what you think is best.
When I came to this country, I was working out my 5 hours a day. I liked to be a little bit overtrained.
And so rather than training like Arnold, which was 5 hours a day, doing, for example, 35 sets for a body part, you can do far less and perhaps eat fewer calories or do more cardio. Now, he was able to overtrain to this extent because we all know Arnold Schwarzenegger was not natural. Many people back in the day, for example, when I was a teenager, we thought Arnold Schwarzenegger was natural. We didn't know there was a thing known as steroids. I was a kid. We were naive. We were ignorant. But as we got older, we realized, wait a minute, steroids, they're going to help you recover. You can train harder than last time. And it's not the same as when you're training 100% natural. There's no reason to train 5 hours a day. Overtraining, it's not going to help you to build more muscle. There's something known as the law of diminished returns. 1 set is great, 2 sets is better, 3 sets even better, but eventually more sets is not better and it's actually worse. And so in any given week, the science shows 10 to 20 sets for any given body part. You don't need to do 35 sets. That, to me, overtraining by far.
But they also gave themselves cheat days every week to make sure their diets weren't completely bland.
And so notice the plate of tomatoes next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so although he's saying, you know, they didn't eat any vegetables, they seem to eat just as many vegetables as bodybuilders of today.
We just ate, 4 or 5 times a day, more beef than the guys are eating today. Eggs, salads, bread.
Sounded like they ate whatever they want. Vegetables, the guy was eating bread, lots of meat. Sounds like bodybuilders of today.
If you compare the diet plans of the golden era to now,
another large salad for Arnold Schwarzenegger,
you'll see a lot of differences. You'll see a lot more carbs. But because of that, you'll also notice how the physiques are different.
Does anyone not think that that has something to do with the drugs that are being used? The fact that they're on growth hormone, insulin, and in higher doses than ever before? Do you just think it's from the diet? Do you really think it's from eating just more carbs? Oh, back then they eat more meat, and today they eat more rice, and so that's why. It's the drugs.
Diets with high protein, low carbs, and the hard training made a huge difference, believe it or not.
And so is he trying to say that high protein, low carb, and hard training, you're going to have a shredded physique and look more like Chris Bumstead? Or is it what, the higher carbs, lower protein that's making you look bloated? A lot of it has to do with genetics. A lot of it has to do with the drugs use. A lot less has to do with what exactly are you eating. And so hopefully you enjoyed the video. Go and visit HulkTube Motivation. They have several videos from the golden era. The images during their video make it much more interesting. I highly suggest you go and give them a follow. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video if you liked it, watch one of those 2 bloops. Of course, the cookbooks, the training books, the coaching plans by me and my team, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. Also, if you have no money, get the free diet and training program and join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.